A little moment in the world of sports. Shefty is working the phone feverishly. Jay Will is resting because everyone in basketball is tired already at this time of year. And Acho has the largest computer I've ever seen.
and the smallest shirt.
Can we get this man an iPad for the love of Christmas? All that said, the game of the year is 2 days away. It's LSU, it's Alabama, the Crimson Tide, a 6.5-point favorite at Caesars, having won 31 straight home games dating back to 2015. That is the longest streak in SEC history. First in the nation, meanwhile, in completion percentage is their counterpart, LSU's Joe Burrow. He's completing 79% of his throws this year. That is on pace to break the all-time FBS record for a single season. And then there's Tua. Remains a game-time decision after undergoing surgery for a high ankle sprain. Leads the country in total QBR, second in completion percentage. Nick Saban, what's the story?
I know you're going to ask me about Tua, but look, Tua's worked hard to try to get back where he has an opportunity to play. He's been able to practice some. We still don't know what his status for the game is going to be. We'll make it, when the game comes.
I love it when Nick tells you what the question is going to be. I know you're going to ask about Tua, and here it is. We're going to talk about Tua. But first, let's put this as simply as we can for folks who are getting themselves amped up. What exactly is at stake on Saturday?
Alabama cannot afford to lose this game, because if Alabama loses this game, their college football playoff chances are over and done with. On the flip side, Greeny, LSU, if they lose this game, they're more than likely still in. So it can turn the college football playoffs on its head, but Bama cannot afford to lose.
To be clear, that has something to do with the schedule they've played and a lot to do with where the game is being played. Do you think the committee would give LSU a break based on the fact that they're playing this game on the road?
Well, what it means is LSU has 3 huge wins: Auburn, Florida, and Texas early on in the season before Texas was depleted defensively. So that win still to a degree counts for something. Greeny, Bama hasn't played anybody except for Texas A&M.
They're sitting where they are because of the eye test. Obviously, that changes on Saturday. How about the second implication? All eyes on the quarterbacks in this game.
Yeah, to me, this is huge. I think this game will dictate the first-round pick of the National Football League draft this coming season. Joe Burrow's ascending the ranks like we've never seen before. He's having a miraculous season. He's on pace, Greeny, to break the college football record for completion percentage. Fantastic. If he goes out there and he dominates, continues to do what he's done all season, Greeny, I think he's the first overall pick. Everybody heard tanking for Tua. But what Joe Burrow is doing is very reminiscent of Cam Newton, if everybody remembers, 2010. He goes to Bama. He beats Bama, the whole shocked face thing. You see it right there. This is when he shocked the world. This is when he did it. He shocked the world, coming back down 24-0. I think this is a Joe Burrow moment. Don't be surprised if you see Joe Burrow do the same thing.
So we got the quarterback on one side who's come seemingly out of nowhere, the quarterback on the other side who's a little banged up, but teams are theoretically tanking for him all season long. So the drama is set. And to have more on the quarterbacks, let me get Mel Kiper in the. Where's Mel? Let me get Mel Kiper Jr. is here, the NFL draft expert extraordinaire, who told me before the show he's yet to have his pumpkin pie this morning. So let's see if we can fire him up. Mel, you've got 3 quarterbacks in your top 6 on your big board, 2 of them on the same field this weekend, as we've been discussing. Does this game mean for Joe Burrow what Acho was talking about? Can he vault himself up to the top with a big performance Saturday?
No question. Huge game for Joe Burrow. Think about Alabama's defense. It's not vintage Alabama in terms of a defense. 5 of their top 6 tacklers from last year will not be on the field. That injury to Dylan Moses really hurt. So you look at Joe Burrow. Joe Brady comes in, the offensive system, the receivers now, Justin Jefferson, Chase are catching the ball. He went from 58% to 79%. So that monumental leap in terms of completion percentage. Watch them early in the year, the manipulation of the pocket, the awareness in the pocket, the accuracy, precise accuracy. And what I love, Greeny, highly competitive football player. Joe Burrow is, yes, he could be the best quarterback in this draft, the number 1 quarterback by the time we get to late April. And this game will have a lot to do with that.
And I think a lot of people who may not necessarily be into LSU or Alabama will watch this game for that reason. They want to see these quarterbacks, and we can see there are a lot of players who will be on this field in this game that Mel likes a lot. And you see Tua Tagovailoa all the way up there near the top. Let's talk about that briefly here. Are these quarterbacks in this draft the kinds of prospects, at least at this point in the evaluation, that I know how much you hate the word tanking, but that teams might be considering throwing in the towel for, that are that kind of transformational kinds of talents?
No. Right now, I'd say all three are kind of vying. It's a three-horse race. All three are vying to be that guy. Everybody thought it was guaranteed to be Tua. That's not the case because of Burrow's ascension up that board. And Justin Herbert's coming off a phenomenal game against USC. He has more talent than any of the other two or any quarterback in this draft or in the last 20 years. Herbert has that kind of ability. Now, he's not to the level of some of these other guys in terms of instincts and awareness, but talent, he has it. So there's three quarterbacks, all still being evaluated for that top spot. And then there's Chase Young, the great pass rusher from Ohio State. So right now, Young's the best player in the draft, Greeny. The quarterbacks are right off him. But if you need a quarterback, you're going to take one of these three. Will be the first pick probably in this draft. And like I say, this LSU game against Alabama will have a lot to do with that. And certainly Herbert moving forward will be in this equation as well.
Mel's entire big board can be viewed exclusively on ESPN Plus. Outstanding, Mel. So looking forward to it. And we'll see you again soon. Thanks for jumping in here early this morning. We have much more on this game to come. In the meantime, let me get you to the NFL. It has been a year of regression for Baker Mayfield, at least according to the statistics. Mayfield already has 12 picks through 8 games. He threw only 14 all of last year. But despite what the stats say, his coach is not necessarily concerned.
You can't just look at stats and tell the whole story. I know that's a lot of times all anybody has to look at. I understand that and recognize that fact, but that doesn't tell the whole story. I don't think he's just wildly missing passes. So I just want him to get better today, just like I want him to get better this week, more than last week. I truly do not look at stats.
I truly do not look at stats, says Freddie Kitchens, the man in the center of so much controversy. Shefty is here, D. Wood, and Nick, I'll start with you. When you hear him say that, what jumps to your mind?
I mean, he just looks defeated. It made me feel sorry for him. Like, I understand what he's saying. If you're watching film, maybe you don't need stats. But the fact of the matter is, they can't say anything until they start winning, because we can pick apart every statement that they make until they start winning. Because if we had a coach who was doing well, say Bill Belichick said, I can't learn anything from stats, we'd all be like, yeah, you're right. Bill Belichick can't learn anything from stats. But with Freddie Kitchens, no matter what he says, he's like, I study all the stats. I watch all the film. I do everything. I don't sleep. We'll be like, well, you're doing it wrong. You need to do it differently.
What do you think, D. Wood?
No, I completely agree with Nick here. Listen, whatever the Cleveland Browns got going on right now, it's all wrong. It's just all wrong. Whatever that Freddie Kitchens is saying, nobody cares. Nobody cares until you start winning football games.
Remember, Shefty, the opposite George episode of Seinfeld? Whatever your inclination is, do the opposite. Maybe that's what will work, because the drama in Cleveland, I know, has you frustrated.
Well, listen, every week we're talking about something else in Cleveland, but you see the numbers there, right? 12 interceptions, tied for the most in the NFL. 12 and a half penalties per game, most in the NFL. So what does that tell you? It tells you they're making a lot of mistakes on a weekly basis. They're not playing disciplined football, and they have not met the expectations of anybody who thought that this Cleveland team was good enough to give this city hope, give this city excitement, give this city a reason to cheer and be hopeful, whereas there have been so many disappointing seasons. We didn't think there'd be another disappointing season in Cleveland, and that makes this one even more disappointing than some of the others that have happened.
That's the point. It is more disappointing because they went from hope to expectations, and that's a big jump. And when you do that and things go wrong, changes generally get made. If this thing does not turn itself around in relatively short order, and the season's this close to getting completely away from them, what's the first shoe that drops?
Well, listen, I think the history of this team, and they say we want to be stable, we don't want to make change. But the history of this team says that they make change. So if they continue to struggle and lead the league in penalties and lead the league in interceptions, the one thing that we could bank on is that there'll be more change coming to Cleveland.
We'll see what that winds up being one way or another.
Yeah, Freddie Kitchens had nothing on his resume that suggested that he should have been a head coach. So I think that people are ready to move on from him. They have a really bad schedule coming forward, meaning they have a lot of bad teams on their schedule.
Soft.
The problem is they are also a very bad team. If they go on to lose to all these bad teams, including 2 games against the Bengals, they lose either one of those games, I can imagine that no one there will be able to put up a fight to keep Freddie Kitchens. He might have to go.
Well, look, the beginning of the easy part of the schedule has already happened. They played Denver without their quarterback. That's supposed to be a game that you win to get yourself healthy and going in the right direction, and they didn't do it.
I think people really underestimate. I know there was a lot of joy and excitement with the Cleveland Browns, but I think a lot of people really underestimated how hard it is to change a culture. within the organization.
And how hard it is to change a culture when you're putting an inexperienced coach
right.
with some big personalities.
That's
and
right.
that creates a combustible combination.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you're wondering where the leadership is coming from. And you've made the point that, generally speaking, Odell Beckham Jr. has acted like the leader on this group. And you want to talk about the opposite of what anyone would have expected.
Yeah, you could point to his shoe situation or his watch situation and say those things are somewhat immature. But when we are looking at quotes coming out of that locker room, the only one who has the quotes that I'm like, hey, this guy cares about this and it means something to him is Odell Beckham.
Maybe the best thing you can do there is ignore the noise. Speaking of which, fascinating comments from another guy at the center of a bit of a storm, and that's Mitchell Trubisky. His season of struggles continued last week against the Eagles. He was 10 of 21, 125 yards, and sacked 3 times. And yesterday, he admitted he is aware of all the criticism and doesn't want to hear it anymore.
Trying to get some of these TVs in the building turned off because you got too many people talking on TV about us and what they think about us, what we should do, what we are and what we're not. But they don't really know who we are or what we're capable of, people, or what we're going through or what we're thinking. It's just the outside viewers looking in.
Okay, that's what Mitchell Trubisky said. D. Wood, what do you say?
Literally, my head exploded.
What?
My head exploded. Like, this is what you want from your quarterback?
Literally?
Oh, they're talking bad about me. Let me turn my TV off. You're the quarterback. You're playing bad football. Okay? Like, if you can't handle some criticism,
I hope he's not watching Get Up right
then
now.
you don't need to be the quarterback. I mean, like, how can we dispute this? Oh, people on Get Up or whatever television show it is, oh, they're talking bad about me, which you are playing bad, and your feelings get hurt? I don't want to play with a guy like that's soft like that, please.
You don't have to listen to it, is my point. And we talk about, we had Acho on here who I think had his master's in sports psychology, talk about how positive self-talk matters. That means negative self-talk matters too. And you've been